Hey guys, I just got out to the farm and I see something terrible.
I hoped it would be a really long time before I needed to do an episode like this. I mean, the preference would be never, but that's not realistic on a farm. I underestimated nature, and my animals paid the price. For anyone who's disturbed by the sight of wounds, animals that have died, or the things predators can do, I'll try to limit how much I show of what happened, but it's not pretty. Nature can be beautiful, but it can also be violent. Ultimately, this was my fault, not nature's. I'm not angry with a predator being a predator. I'm just so frustrated that I let this happen. If I'd completed one more step before moving our animals out to the farm, this wouldn't have happened. So now let me show you the disaster that struck our farm. And be aware, I will not be making this mistake again. Welcome to the Big Big Farm, where traditional farming and tropical farming meet, right here in the last frontier. If you want to follow along and see how far we can take this dream in Alaska, go ahead and subscribe. And thank you for being part of the journey. It was a normal farm day. We headed out. We had a plan. We got there. I jumped out like I always do and greeted the ducks. They quacked back at me and ran up to the door of their enclosure, anticipating the mountain of dandelions, alfalfa, bishopsweed, and chickweed I always pick from my yard and bring to them. Today I'd gone up with Dad. He was the one who saw first. It's hard to describe this feeling. It's not grief like the grief of losing a loved one. We love our farm animals, but they're not people. But it is grief. Deep sadness for the pain those animals went through. Frustration about the sheer waste. The galling disappointment when an expectation goes awry. We thought we were about to have the most wonderful experience of seeing baby rabbits born on the farm. Now, nothing. What am I supposed to do now? And worse, what am I going to tell the kids? I tried to piece together what happened. I was confused about a few things. First, how did the door come open? How did the stack I'd placed in front of it move? Why did the whatever it was tear a huge hole in the side if the door was open? If the hole was made first, why did the door come open at all? And why were there no footprints? Something big enough to tear through wire like that ought to be big enough to leave prints in the loose, soft soil. But when I checked, nothing. Why were they dragged out of the enclosure? Where was our third rabbit? I thought about the possible predators. We have a lot of raptors up here. Few of the larger species include bald eagles, golden eagles, northern goshawks, gyrfalcons, peregrine falcons, also great horned owls, great gray owls. When we first moved the animals out to the farm, avian predators were my top concern. Any of those could easily kill rabbits. They may even be strong and smart enough to tear the wire. I've watched northern goshawks patiently and meticulously try to pry panels off the greenhouse to get at my quail before I shooed them away. But they wouldn't leave all that meat like that.
So something came out of the woods, came straight up to the enclosure, and tore it apart. But I'm still confused about the door. I'm very confused about the door. Why is it open? How is it open? I'm wondering if in the panic of these rabbits, they just rammed it enough and jumped and whatever it was they did, and it came open somehow.
My next concern was bears, easily powerful enough to tear through the wire, extremely abundant in Alaska, but I felt certain I'd be able to see tracks, even if it had rained some later. And again, only the groin had been eaten. That's often a mustelid behavior. Kill everything present, more than they can eat, and then eat only a few choice portions of their kills. That's the weasel family. We aren't really in wolverine habitat, but we do have marten, mink, and river otters. Other options include foxes, coyotes, wolves. It is not easy being a prey animal in Alaska. Regardless of what animal did this, it's crushing. It's really devastating. We care about all our animals, even the ones destined to be food. We believe that our animals should be born, raised, and kept in a way that allows them maximum happiness. And then, when the time comes, their death should be quick and painless, and free of fear. Imagining their panic as a predator tore through the barrier and then chased them down and killed them with teeth or claws is not anything like how their lives should have ended. There was also a lot of emotional investment in these particular animals, since they were the very first ones we ever brought to the farm. The does were pregnant. We were going to raise our first ever food on the big farm. Just losing the possibility of that food is a blow. A trio of meat rabbits can be so productive. We were hoping to put a lot of meat in the freezer before winter comes. I called Liz. She talked with the kids, and the kids took it hard. They raised these rabbits. It wasn't Liz and I. The kids fed them, cleaned their enclosures, watered them, kept their hay fresh. A horrible thought struck me at this point. What about the ducks?
I now have a really difficult problem, guys. I don't feel that my duck flock is safe. Our beautiful duck flock that we've had for years, I do not feel they are safe at all. Something pretty strong went straight through that wire. This is not plastic. This is wire. It would be difficult for me to just break it. I mean, I could do it probably, but this was not a tiny animal that did this. If it can just, first off, just catching a rabbit is not easy. So I don't feel that my ducks are safe at all. I need to get something out here absolutely immediately, and there's no way for me to do that. Oh my gosh. But we're gonna have to figure out something, or I feel like our ducks will be gone next time I come out here. You know, these predators, they figure it out, man. They realize, yeah, there's human presence here. There's people in and out unpredictably. There's a lot of people. They're big. They bring machines. They're loud. And sometimes, you know, the predators don't come around for a while, but they start to get used to you. And once they realize you're not after them, you're not observant enough, there's long periods of time, especially at night, where you're not around, they become emboldened. And now that they've had a successful raid, I have no doubt that they'll be back. And I don't know what to do about that. I don't have electric fencing at this exact moment.
If I left them here, I felt sure the same thing would happen again. Maybe even that night. But I couldn't stay all night. Even if I did, I'd have to leave eventually. I had no way to stop a predator from getting to them. But the place they'd been living before coming out here had already been repurposed. I didn't have anywhere to take them. My yard at my house wasn't secure, and it was also against our zoning in my part of town to keep them in the yard. This just filled me with more sadness, but all I could think to do was harvest the ducks. It'd be better than leaving them to be killed and wasted. And the ducks would literally be sitting ducks. No flying ability, not nearly as fast as the rabbits. But how could I possibly tell the kids? They were already devastated about the rabbits. How could I make them understand? I'll admit my thoughts weren't very positive. Things would be a lot simpler, though, if we didn't have these farm animals. We have 100 other things going on. So much to build, so much to move. Maybe this was a sign to just stop with the farm animals for a while. Start up again sometime in the future when things got more stable. I got a text from my mom. She'd heard what happened from Liz. She told me she was worried I shouldn't leave the ducks up here because the predator might come back. There was a fenced section of her yard we could fix up that would work great for the ducks until we could make the property secure. She told me to bring them home to her house. I cannot tell you the relief. I was still crushed, but we wouldn't have to start completely over. We could save the ducks. It was a temporary solution. We'd still need to decide what to do. For now, though, one thing at a time. It was Operation Duck Rescue. And that was that. My breath caught. The farm was empty. Our great launch had hit full reverse. We couldn't keep our plan at all. Now what? We'll need to check the game camera and see what it was able to catch. It's not a perfect system, but we're hopeful we can dig through whatever movements it did pick up in the past 3 days and find something to show us what attacked our rabbits. I decided to wait a few days before deciding what to do next. I did not want to make a final decision while in this mindset. But in a practical sense, there's only one thing to do. So that's it. The loss of 3 rabbits may not seem like much to some people. Losing livestock is part of farming, even on a small scale. But it's an emotional and mental setback as much as a physical one. Some of the excitement is gone. We need to take a few days before we decide what to do. Should we even try rabbits again this year? Should we pull back our plans? We checked the game camera. The screen is tiny, the video is grainy, but we immediately found something. At least 2 medium-sized animals, moving along the rabbit run, climbing the sides, trying to get through. A bit of grainy footage of one of them inside the run. It's awful to watch. It's also difficult to tell what's going on. Definitely more than one predator. I can tell they have tails. They're bigger than foxes, bigger than coyotes. Could it be river otters? Climbing around the wire walls like that? They're too small and too much tail to be bears. We pulled up the footage on the computer. Much larger screen, higher definition. Dogs. My heart sank through the floor. I looked closer. Well fed, clean, collars. These weren't strays. They weren't even really hunting. They were playing. Running up and down, barking, tails wagging happily, jumping against the side again and again, trying to get in. The rabbit's terror made them run frantically, which just excited the dogs more. 3 of them, not just 2. 3 big dogs. From who knows where. From the rabbit's perspective, it doesn't really matter which predator got them. It was awful for them no matter what. For us, this feels worse. In the city, loose dogs are relatively rare. Out here, it's a rampant problem. A frightening number of disputes arise out here over this exact issue. I can't believe I hadn't considered it. I was so caught up in trying to figure out which wild animal has been hunting on our farm, but it was just dogs. And they weren't even hungry. They're just big, energetic dogs looking for something to do, and the rabbits ran, so they chased. It's heartbreaking. In a way, it's kind of heartbreaking for a second time. And worst of all, I immediately felt a new stress settling over me. What do I do about this? Do I pick a fight with a neighbor I don't even know, and we don't even live out there full time yet? How do I even figure out whose dogs these are? Are they going to come around while I'm out there working with my kids? Or while my dogs are out there? Are they safe around people and other dogs? Will the owner change anything? Will they be willing to fence in their dogs? If not, what's my next step? We've been talking it over, and I guess our response doesn't change that much. Electric fence that will keep out a bear will certainly keep out dogs. Next year we'll be putting in a tall, strong perimeter fence around the whole farm, with electric lines. So regardless, this shouldn't happen again. But we still need to try to find the owner. and let them know what happened. And we'll take every step on our end to protect our animals in the future. A few days passed. We found the owner of the dogs. We got some resolution. One of the owners in particular was very apologetic, felt horrible that her dog had participated. It doesn't get us our rabbits back, but it's good to know our neighbor cares. A few more days passed. We talked with the kids a lot, trying to decide what to do. When we finalized our decision, it was obvious. We sort of knew all along what we have to do.